Hey, what's up, traders? Gates Adams here, the Forge Trader, back with another recap. I know I've been pretty slim on recaps lately, and I think what I'm going to try to commit to do is making sure that I at least do a weekly recap at the end of the week, let you guys know what's going on in my world as I continue on this wonderful and challenging journey. So I've got to start off with what happened at the beginning of the week. I did what I do from time to time, and I blew 6 PAs. And you just, you know, this has been such a constant struggle for me of handling losses. It's been absolutely brutal. And if you've been watching me for any period of time, you know that every time I experience something dramatic like this, it takes me back to the drawing board, and I go back to some of the foundations, some of the fundamentals of what I used to do that maybe I haven't been doing as much lately, um, and really trying to focus in on that one single thing that's been the big struggle for me. So I did. After I blew the accounts, I had 5 PAs in the background that I hadn't been trading. So not going to say that this was the best move, but even on that same Monday, I went ahead and jumped in on these 5 PAs, and I ended up having a good trade. We're going to call that one luck, and I had a good day. Anyway, it was like $1,500 per account, right? In fact, let me just show you here. This is my TradeZella. So this is my main leader account for the 5 PAs that I have, and I'll show you all 5 here in a second. But if we look at the numbers, whoops, let's close all that out, right? So if we look at the numbers here, we can kind of see what this has looked like. So I had about $1,500 there, down about 600 on Tuesday, up about 1,100 on Wednesday, down about 600 on Thursday, and up about 1,300 today, which has put me up $2,700 for the week. As you can see, that's pretty much the breakdown of the week, because these are accounts that I really started trading for the first time on Monday. What's changed? Okay, a couple of things have changed. First and foremost, these are $150,000 accounts. That's why those numbers are bigger than what I'm used to seeing. I used to have a max drawdown in my head. I will say in my head of about $300 per day. Having that in my head served me 0%, right? But when I scaled up the size, I went ahead and gave myself a maximum drawdown of 600 for the day. And I know that it's going to be a little bit looser than 600 even, just depending on position size. I mean, if my position size to risk 300, because ultimately one trade I'm risking a maximum of 300. Well, if it tells me to take 2.9 micros, I'm going to take 3, right? So there's a little bit of leeway there, but really that's where I want to be, is a max drawdown on the day of about $600. So what I did on Monday after finishing everything up, I'm going to give you a little teaser right now, because what I want to announce is just not ready to announce yet. But I learned a process years ago in the Wake Up Warrior program that I was in, called the Stack, and it was basically how to deal with emotions. And of course, trading is very emotional. And I went ahead and I took the fundamentals of this process and I fed it into AI, and so basically turned this into a little bit more of an interactive process, and also that has a memory of previous versions that I've done. So it's sort of keeping track of everything that I've done in this process in the past. I say in the past, I'm saying this moving forward, because I did this for the very first time on Monday. And one of the big things that I always got out of this process was this revelation that comes to me based on the conversation that I had, the interaction that I had with what used to be just a Q&A. Just, it was a list of questions. I mean, you can just repeat these questions, whatever. But by putting it into AI, it gives it a little bit of flexibility to adjust that based on the current circumstances, as well as things that I may have said to it in the past. So my big revelation at this point was I had a quote unquote strategy and a set of rules, but they had never been written down, not even once. They were sort of a loose set of rules. There was not a lot of specificity, and really it came down to how can you hold yourself to rules that that are not clearly written out, right? You're operating in a gray area every day. So that gray area led me to a lot of mistakes. And so I sat down and I wrote down my rules and my entry model, my max risk on a trade, my max drawdown for the day, and by having those physically written out, I came into trading on Tuesday, and as you can see, Tuesday was a down day. My written rules said don't lose more than $600, roughly $600 for the day, and I did. I lost $600 and I stopped and I moved on with the day. Right? Came back and I felt really good about that. In fact, what I realized was that just in that moment of commitment, by writing those rules down, that first day, there was no way I was going to allow myself to go rogue, right? So I didn't, right? And the lesson in that is that, I mean, if I'm just focused on today, I can force myself through willpower to not break my rules today, right? Kind of took a note from the world of like AA or something like that, one day at a time, because overtrading is like an addiction, or it may be an addiction. Psychologically speaking, I don't know, but I know that it functions in the brain in a very similar way. So anyway, one day at a time. One day I hit my max drawdown and I moved on. Right. Wednesday came back in, had a nice winning day. One more than I lost. I made more on Wednesday than I lost on Tuesday, which put me forward for the week. Came back Thursday, had another losing day. Had some copier glitches, so I didn't really take 4 trades. I took 2 trades, and they were ultimately both losers. But the glitchy trades ended up showing a small positive. So ignore that number from a statistical standpoint. And then today I came in and I had one great trade, and I ended for the day. So I now have a week where I had 2 losing days. I stopped when I was supposed to stop. I also had 3 winning days, which by far exceeded what I lost on those losing days, which is just reinforcing the idea that I got to get out of the mindset of each day has to be a winner, right? And I think that's what always drew me back into overtrading. Was I just didn't want to end this day in the red. So I was going to fight through it, or maybe I saw something that gave me hope that maybe this was the trade that was going to push me up there, even if it was a great entry. Sometimes it was, sometimes it wasn't. But ultimately, over time, that bad habit is what caused me to overtrade enough to where I would lose accounts. So no overtrading this week, not since Monday morning. Well, I'm going to say not since Monday. I really shouldn't have even taken I guess it was 2 trades on Monday with these new accounts. Shouldn't have done it. I did, whatever. Life happens, move on. But I can see now that from a bigger picture, one day doesn't matter. I'm still up $2,700 for the week on one account. I have 5 accounts, right, that I'm copy trading. Now, I have definitely had some glitches on the copier over the course of this week. I'm pretty confident it's user error because I haven't been using the copier because I haven't been on Tradeovate for a while. I'm back on Tradeovate now. But net P&L for the 5 accounts is about 14 grand. That's phenomenal. But in the heart of that, I earned this profit in those accounts by following my rules. And I can tell you, in the $50,000 that I've taken in payouts, I can attribute a significant amount of that profitability to going rogue and getting lucky and winning. So a lot of those profits came from bad behavior that I shouldn't have done, but that went my way anyway. And I think that's a big part of the reason why I kept continuing to make the same mistakes over and over again, because they paid off so often, right? But it just takes that one to blow so much work, so much. I have definitely blown more than I've made by trading this way. I know this logically, but now I'm building evidence to support the fact that, I don't have to operate this way, and I can be consistently profitable by following my rules. My numbers don't look fantastic. 45% win rate, it's not great. My profit factor is really solid, right? My average win to loss is definitely solid, right? So to me, that gives me meaningful data. Now that this data is based on following my rules and a level of consistency, then I can start attacking the areas that could potentially improve. I think I can improve on a 45% win rate as I continue to follow through and follow my rules and do all the things that I know that I should do that I haven't been doing. I feel like that's something that can absolutely improve. Profit factor, average win. I mean, I don't know that those even need improvement. I think that if I can improve my win rate and keep those the same, I mean, these numbers are profitable, even if they don't improve. But what if they do? What if I can improve that win rate to closer to 60%? I mean, that's huge, right? So I'm learning the lessons that I've known, not because I didn't not execute them because I didn't know the lessons, right? I'm starting to really deeply see the value of the rules. Again, I knew all of this shit logically, but sometimes it just takes that smack in the face to to remind you that it doesn't matter what happens today. Tomorrow's another day as long as you still have accounts. If you blow your accounts, tomorrow is not the same day as it would have been. A loss is not a big deal. And I know I'm going to have losing days logically. I just am working through building that emotional resilience to that. So since then, I've basically taken this process that I rebuilt out in AI, and I've done I think 2 more since then, which I've attacked from different angles. The next one was really the intention was to reinforce the good behaviors that I had exhibited for a couple of days. The next one, which was this morning, I did before I started trading, was really just to set my mindset in the right place before I got into the charts, whereas the previous 2 had been more of a reactionary response to my trading day. And so I'm super excited about having this tool sort of customized to me. And I'm having a lot of fun with it. So as I continue to use this, I'll share with you guys what's going on and all that kind of good stuff. And as usual, like I said, I will keep you guys posted. I'll try to at least do a weekly recap and let you know what has happened throughout the course of the week. I am digging this growth curve because that is just about picture perfect for what you want to see. Yeah, there's going to be some pullbacks, but those peaks keep getting higher and higher. So we'll see if I can keep this going for another solid week, and then see if we can get these accounts over payout. I do have some more evaluations kind of going on in the background. I'm trading them at 2-to-1. What I trade the PAs, but at least I'm doing that instead of kind of trying to do the whole pass them in one trade or one day. $9,000 is a pretty big profit target to do that since I'm doing the 150s now. But anyway, that's what's been going on with me. I will have a new episode of the Forex Trader podcast coming out next week. I am so sorry for all of the delays in that. As I hope you can see, I've been hard at work, working on me, working on stuff that I can hopefully share with you guys, and just continuing down this journey. And when I give you an update, I want it to be meaningful. I want it to be something that was hopefully helpful to you guys. If you got something out of this, if this has been helpful to you, do shoot me a like, leave me a comment, let me know. That means everything to me. I do this as much for you guys as I do for myself. I'm gonna be real honest. I do this for myself a lot because it does sort of hold me accountable to me. But I'm really, truly hopeful that this is helpful to other traders out there. So if that's you, let me know in the comments. I appreciate you guys. I love you all. God bless. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you guys next week.